I'm here with Tony Migliozzi from Canton, Ohio. Just going to ask him a few questions. He's going to be running for the United States Olympic qualifier in February in LA. And coming up in December, you're going to be in Qatar for the 50K World Championships, right?
Yep, yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, so there's a selection process for the World 50K Championships. And you had to have a certain time frame where you had to run a marathon under, I think what they suggested was 2:21, and it was between like January and June, so not a huge time frame in 2015 to get that time in. And I had a 2:17 marathon that I ran in Houston, January 18th. So I put in my bid for that, and that was one of the fastest times that bid to be in that time frame. So I was one of the members that were selected on the team.
So when are you leaving for that?
Leaving November 30th.
November 30th.
Yep.
And the race takes place on what day?
It's December 4th.
December 4th.
There's a 12-hour difference though, so gotta plan accordingly.
so no watch parties are going to be going on in the United States.
It starts at 6 p.m. their time, so it would be 6 a.m.
So what are your goals for that event?
So I've never raced a 50K ever. So 5 more miles than a marathon. I'm gonna try and take it like a marathon, but wait a little longer to try and speed up. My goal is to win. I don't know what that's gonna take, but I'm gonna try and be in contention the whole race.
You're from Canton. 50K World Championships. So how's your training transition from, are you training for the extra 5 miles at the end of it?
I have been, yeah. Recently, last Sunday, I did a 22 miler with the last 2 miles being the fastest. I went under 10 minutes for the last 2 miles, trying to have that gear change when you're already fatigued.
Right.
I'm trying to get used to that. But so I did the Chicago Marathon in October, and then took a week off, and then I built up to 150 miles for 2 weeks in a row, and just trying to get used to tons of miles under my legs, so maybe a 50K won't be too much of a challenge, but I think it will be.
So you brought up Chicago. I know there were at least a few people in Canton who were watching you run the Chicago Marathon. You finished in the top 12, right?
I was 15th overall, yeah. I think I was seeded 25th, so I exceeded expectations.
That's awesome. What was the rate? Now you didn't PR there. You missed your PR just barely.
About
correct?
15 seconds or so, yeah.
What was the difference between that and Houston?
So Houston was perfect weather, perfect everything. It's a great race for me. It was where I qualified to the Olympic trials. I mean, I qualified in Chicago also, but Houston was where I first qualified. But the weather was perfect there. In Chicago, it was really windy. It was a lot hotter than it usually is. It was like about 60 degrees at the start, which is not optimal. And I think that was my best performance yet, was the Chicago Marathon. I think I was close to 2:15, 2:16 shape in that race, and getting 15th at Chicago was a big deal, because I did it in 2012 and was 41st, and so improving, I guess.
That's awesome. Shoot, what was I was going somewhere with this. To give people an idea, a 2:17 marathon, like a lot of us talk in pace per mile. Stuff like that. So the layperson may not be able to, everyday weekend warrior runner may not be able to just compute what is a 2:17 marathon.
So my average pace was 5:14 per mile. I went out a little harder though. I slowed down the second half. The first half I think I was on a 5:09 average, and then slowed down in the second half.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. I think that like when I was watching it, there was and I was talking to Sarah about this later. They were interviewing like spectators and stuff about mile 14 or 15, and there was a small group, and we could tell that you were tucked in right behind it. And I was like, oh yeah, 2:15, he's gonna get it. I really felt at that point you had it, but it was just the headwind.
There was
the end.
Yeah, just going a little harder. Yeah, so we went out a little harder than we probably should have with the wind and whatnot. So you're expending energy that you don't really realize. You're putting more effort into a pace than probably should have been. So second half just didn't have enough energy, and hung on for a decent finish, but not as quick as I wanted.
So one question that I've always been curious about, when when did you realize that something like the Olympic trials, when did you realize that was something that you could truly go for?
Well, honestly, I didn't ever think it was an opportunity for me. I thought it was just too hard of a time to hit, and the standard got a lot quicker. It used to be 219, and now it's 218. And honestly, it was just being consistent every single year, every single day, every single week, just putting in the miles and improving every single season to where it becomes a realistic goal. And not till last year, I didn't think I had an opportunity, but once you are consistent with your training and dedicated and motivated, it just kind of happens, I guess. You just slowly build up.
Now, obviously, you work, and as do many other runners like myself. How do you manage, besides the fact that your shop opens at noon, how do you manage putting on, you average how many miles per week, typically?
We're about 120-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you manage working and putting in that kind of mileage? Because I know myself, I will average, probably between 40 to 50 miles per week on long weeks during training. I might hit 70 or around there, but nowhere near what you're putting in. How do you juggle the two?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty robotic lifestyle. Wake up, run, usually get to work at, it's nice that we open at noon, so I get to work at 10 a.m. and or here at 10 o'clock, run till it's time to open the store, work all day, and then once the store closes, run again, and go home and make a meal, and then go to bed. So it's just run, work, run, sleep. So
run, work, run, sleep.
It's not a great lifestyle, but
So you do 2-a-days. Is that a daily thing for you?
Yeah, I'll do my longer run in the morning, usually about 12 to 16 miles in the morning, and then usually about 4 to 8 at night. So my longer run will be the first thing in the morning, and I don't eat breakfast beforehand. I'll eat after my first run. So,
what other advantages do you think you gain besides just being able to split up the miles a little bit, make it a little more time manageable? Are there any other benefits you think you get from 2-a-days?
Well, it allows you to run more miles. I think the main thing is just getting used to running a lot and being on your feet more than once a day is good. I think singles would be more optimal, but you can't really run 140 miles on a single.
I don't think I could do 140 miles with 2-a-days either.
You'd surprise yourself. You'd be very, very sore afterwards, but you could do it.
So how long have you been running?
I've been since 2005. I think a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Or my freshman year at the end of the year for track. So about 10 years.
Okay. I mean, cross country. What was your, for the shorter runs? What are your PRs? What do they stand at?
Yeah. So I had a school record that has been beaten by a really talented runner named Corey Glines, who runs for Northern Arizona. But I ran a 15:47 in cross country my senior year. That was my best time. The 2 mile, I think I ran 9:30, something like that, was my best time. My mile was only like 4:27, which is not great against my competition, but
right. So is that what about college? I mean, did you start to? I mean, you teeter on. I mean, you are an elite, so that is
sub-elite. I'm real close to being it.
So where? When did you realize, 4:27? I mean, I know people who run faster than that, but I don't know anybody who's run a marathon faster than you have. When did you realize that, maybe stretching the distance out might be something that put you in that category? Yeah,
my progression, through high school, college was really well organized. I had pretty much a professional collegiate coach while I was in high school, so he knew how to progress me accordingly. So we always knew that marathon was going to be my end game, was going to be my strongest point. So we just built the miles every single year. We just did a little bit more every single year. Nothing too hard all at once, so I never really burnt out and been really enjoying the process. And it's just I've had a lot of great guidance along the way that it's really led to being able to keep improving.
Yeah. At what age did you run your first full?
So I was still in college. NAI has a national championships where they provide the marathon, so you can run the marathon at the national championships. That was my first one. I ran 2:29 and I got second in the nation there. I lost to a Kenyan, I forget his name, but it was a close race, but he got away from me at the end.
It's the story of most American marathoners, I think. A Kenyan got away from me.
That seems like a recurring story.
So, one question I have is, how the hell did you manage to run a 109 half marathon a week and a half ago in jeans and a flannel?
Well, the day before work, my buddy Nick, who runs for Newton, was working with me, and I brought up running in jeans and a flannel. I told him he wouldn't do it, and he said, "Are you kidding me? You don't think I'd do that?" And I said, "No, you won't show up with jeans and a flannel." And then he said I wouldn't, and it became something that we both had to do because we had those competitive mindsets. So we both showed up in jeans and a flannel to race each other.
And you ran a 109. Yeah, I know Matt had promised $50 gift cards to anybody who beat one of the three of you in jeans and flannels. You didn't have to give any now.
Nobody lost.
We had one guy who was close. He was within about a minute, I think.
Yeah, our third guy, Frasenka, who hopped in that morning, he heard that we were doing it, so he wanted to join in. So I brought him one of my flannels because he didn't have it on him, and yeah, but he held his end of the bargain also.
That was the most ridiculous thing I think I ever saw. Next year, Timberlands.
No way, I'd be crushed. I couldn't run Timberlands.
Nutrition-wise, you said you don't eat breakfast before your runs in the morning. So, I mean, are you still at 3 meals a day, or?
Usually 2 meals a day, and then a lot of snacking in between.
Okay.
So after my first run, I'll try and get that first somewhat big meal in, and then maybe that'll hold me over for about 3 or 4 hours. Have a snack or a little bit more than a snack, and then next 3 or 4 hours have a big dinner. So
all right. Well, what are some of the snacks you carry? I know for myself, that's one of the hardest things to find. That's going to be healthy and and easy.
It's tough, yeah. For me, it's primarily like Nature Valley bars, just those granola bars. They don't have a lot of sugar in them, about 200 calories per each package. So usually Nature Valley bars or something like that. Something that doesn't have a lot of sugar, that's easy to digest quick when you go on that next run. So stuff like that.
Dinner, or for your other meals, I mean, you focus on the standards: protein, like complex carbs, all that good stuff.
Yeah, in the morning. So after the first run, I'll try and get as many carbs and protein in within an hour of my run. I think that's the best way to rejuvenate your muscles to be ready for the next workout or whatnot. So a lot of protein in the morning, a lot of carbs and protein in the morning, and then usually a lighter dinner compared to my first meal.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned Nick, who did the jeans and flannel with you. He runs from Newton. Is there anybody that you run for?
Yeah, I've been using New Balance. I use the 880 and the Zante and the Vazi Pace, and then for workouts I'll use the 1400 and the 1600, and then maybe a longer run I'll use the 1500 that has a little bit of posting on the inside. So New Balance has a ton of shoes, ton of options, which is nice. They have more options than just about any other brand. So New Balance is what I've been using and really enjoying and staying healthy.
Yeah. Do you keep like cushion? I know for me, I only have about 2 or 3 pairs that I actually wear.
Yeah.
Because I'm long runs, longer, slower runs, I'm going to run with more cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like that you do with your shoes, as far as like you have a specific type of shoe for a specific type of run?
Yeah, it depends on what the intensity is or what the goal is for that workout, but usually I'll use a lighter one for a faster day. Makes sense. Then yeah, like you said, a more cushioned shoe for maybe a longer run that either is easy or whatnot, just to stay fresh, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any injuries that you've struggled with throughout your time running?
I had plantar fasciitis for a little bit, for about a year and a half, in both my feet at the same time. It was really frustrating, and every single run hurt. I'm still running much as I am now, but every single run hurt. I didn't feel efficient, and I was just never 100%. But eventually that went away, and healthy now. So.
Was there anything you did to help make it go away? You said you kept running, so it doesn't sound like you did a whole lot.
Yeah, so it would hurt really bad, like the first maybe mile or 2 running, then it would just stay at that certain pain threshold, and I could get through it. But I was doing everything you're supposed to do with them, rolling it with some ice and stretching it a lot and just trying to take care of it when I was off my feet. But it just took a long time to get rid of.
Yeah. So, are there any regrets you have in running? Like, if you could look back on your, last 10 years of your life that you've been running, what would you say your biggest regrets would be?
Biggest regret would probably be I was never an individual state champion. We were always team state champion, which is I would prefer being a team state champion over an individual anytime. I was never an individual. I got second, I got third. I never won my individual title, which I always wanted, but never got that. And then same with college. I was never an individual champion. I got second. So I'm always playing second fiddle, it feels like. So I think that's why I'm still motivated to keep getting after it, to try and finally win something. But yeah, just not winning an individual title at the collegiate or high school level.
Have you won any races since high school? Now that you are just individual and not with the team, is there any event that you won? I mean, I know you've won some of the smaller ones, but
yeah, I like to go to the bigger, most competitive marathons. I haven't won a lot. I've gone to Chicago a few times, and I got third at the Columbus Marathon one year, behind a couple Kenyans. I won the Hall of Fame marathon, so I guess that's my claim to fame. I was the inaugural Hall of Fame marathon champion.
What did you run that in?
That was 2:20 something.
Now, people say, I see that course described as flat. I hear it's really anything but.
Yeah, it's there's some slightly challenging areas of the course. It's not terrible. I mean, it's Canton, so you kind of know that there's going to be some hills. But yeah, it's not flat.
Do you find, is there a special attachment to that race at all, with it being in you are a native, right?
Yeah, well, born Canton, Ohio, yeah.
So any special attachment with that race being in?
Yeah, I want to do it every year. Unfortunately, I made the embarrassing mistake. The only time it's ever happened, I slept in this year for the race. I was wanting to do it and win it again, but I had won the 5K the day before, and I guess my body was more tired than I thought, and none of my alarms, I didn't hear any of them, which was uncharacteristic. I've never done that before, so I'm going to try and, I guess, avenge next year.
So they were going off and you didn't hear them?
Well, I must have had my phone on silent. So they were going off, but there was no noise. So I just kept sleeping till the sun woke me up, and I knew it was too late.
I remember that. My wife and I were out at mile 20 in 2021, and we're like,
I felt so bad.
What on earth? He's either hurt or he bombed early.
Yeah, I felt really bad about that. I sent a message to the race director immediately when I woke up. I just felt really bad.
The most important race, obviously, is in February in LA.
Yep.
What's it going to be like when you're towing the line with guys like Neb Kaplewski and David Ritzenheim and those guys? Like, is there going to be any amount of awe you have in that?
It's going to be a really surreal moment. I mean, I went to Mammoth Lakes one year in college to do some altitude training for a few weeks with my teammates, and we met Neb and Ryan Hall there, and me and Neb are the exact same height, and there's a picture on Facebook of us, exact same height and same build and everything. But to be on the starting line with those guys and in a race I never really thought I'd qualify for is going to be a pretty epic moment for me. So
how many men have qualified for it?
Through the marathon, I think there's about 65 or 70, something like that, and then a lot of people qualify through the half. I think there's another 100 guys through the half, so maybe around 160 or so.
And who from that race is going to go represent the country in Rio?
The top 3 finishers at the Olympic trials, which is in Los Angeles, will go on to compete at the Olympics for the USA.
What's your goal?
My goal is going to be top 25. That's the goal, be top 25 in the country.
Is there any part of you that says, I'm just going to go out and try to be top 3? I mean, I know that's
you never know how these races pan out. I mean, they can start off really slow where you're in the lead pack the whole race, and then it just really giddies up at the end. Or it could go out super hard at a pace you haven't been training for. So really depends on what the other athletes, how they take the race. But for me, I don't think top 3 is a realistic goal here for this year. I think maybe the next trials, if I keep improving, that could be something that's possible.
I had to ask.
Oh yeah, of course. That's what the whole race is about. Finishing top 3.
Because I mean, I know, like, for me, I had the crazy goal of qualifying for Boston before I'm really ready. And I was like, you know what, screw it.
Find something that motivates you.
Yeah, and I figured, you know, for me, you have to learn to do it. You know, you can't just train for it. You got to go out and try to do it.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what I did at Columbus. And so that's why I was curious if that was kind of a little bit of what you were thinking.
I hope so.
For LA.
Guys are a lot faster in that race, so I have to be realistic.
Yeah, we're looking at guys. Well, Meb, and you know, you're looking at 3:08, so he's got you by 9 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2 miles.
He's 41 now. I mean,
I know. It's got to catch up to
40.
him eventually. That's awesome. He's the best role model the U.S. could have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I did not know you had met him until just now. So what was that experience like?
It was awesome. We were staying in some apartments at Mammoth Lakes. Ryan Hall, Sarah Hall, they brought their dogs with them. We had a little like bonfire and everything. Med came out and they talked to us for a little while. We got to run with them and everything. So it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, just meeting those people that you never think you'd have a chance to talk to, that you look up to.
Besides Mad, is there anybody else that you know look up to in that way in the running world?
Well, Craig Leon, he's from Ohio. He moved to Oregon. The way he's been improving every single year, he's a 213 guy now. He just went to OU, so he's from Ohio. Seeing his improvement, I'm trying to emulate that a little bit. He's a great role model, an Ohio kid, so it's cool to look up to him.
It's got an Ohio kid.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
So I did notice one thing one day when I was looking at the trials, because you brought up Ryan Hall's name.
Yeah.
You're actually.
I am seated ahead of him. Yeah. Ryan Hall is below me just based on time. His career has been obviously great. I mean, he's ran under 210 like 8 times.
Yeah.
He's a really long and awesome marathon career that some people don't give him credit for.
Right. That's going to be the headline today. Ryan Hall is below me.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, the power of propaganda.
Yeah. That's funny.
That was the whole goal of this, was to start a war between you and Ryan. No, that was just something interesting I noticed, and I was.
Yeah, he ran a 2:17.50, I think, at Boston a few years ago, and that's his qualifier for the trials.
So, last thing I'll talk about, because you just brought up Boston.
Yeah.
It had the bombings. What did that do to you in any way? Like, I know for me, it is what sparked me getting into marathon running in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I had friends there that were close to crossing the finish line around that time, and it really opened my eyes that we're always susceptible. I mean, we think we are or we aren't. But yeah, I had 2 friends there that had just finished, and I think they just got to their hotel, and the bombs went off, and that really opened my eyes. It's like, we can't take this running for granted. It's something we're really lucky to do, and we can't take advantage of it. So.
Did you cry when Meb won the following year? Because I know I was pretty dang close to it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, that he went out real early and started pushing the pace, and no one caught up to him. It's really hard to do in a marathon, to gain a lead and hold it. It's kind of like with cycling, like the guys that break away, the peloton almost always catches them. That's what Meb did, and he held that lead, and it was just an awesome moment for the U.S.
Oh, it absolutely was. So, but I don't think I have any more questions.
We covered a lot there.
Yeah, we did.
That was awesome.
So, but yeah, wish him luck. This is Tony Migliozzi. I've been pronouncing his name wrong for a year.
Well, you can say the G. That's okay.
But yeah, so 50K championships in Qatar. Best of luck. February.
Awesome.
You're gonna qualify for the Olympics. So hey,
thanks
a lot.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.